What's up, and welcome to episode 272 of First Geek 411. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and with me, as always, from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How you doing?
Hi, doing good?
Nice. Love the new hair.
Yes, the hair. It is purple now.
Nice.
I didn't mention this before we started, but it's purple because I was tired of paying too much money to get the roots touched up. So I just colored it a dark color so that as it grows out, it will just grow out.
It just kind of like more naturally fade. Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. I was going to ask why. I was kind of like, I hadn't
Yeah.
asked when we were talking the pre-show, and I was like, we'll save that. We'll save that.
Yeah. There's the reason is I got tired of spending $200 every 6 weeks to get my roots touched up. So
Yeah. Reasonable.
I
Reasonable.
just colored it purple for the fun of it, and it will grow out. So there we go. I love the blonde, and I'm gonna miss it, but it's just so much money to maintain that right now I would rather save money than
Reasonable.
remain blonde. So
Think of all the dice that you can buy.
all the dice I can buy with that $200 every 6 weeks.
Yeah. That's math rock money.
Yep. They're shiny click clacks.
Yes.
We like our shiny click clacks.
Exactly. This week, we are chatting about Beetlejuice taking over the box office, PlayStation 5's technical showcase, and then I'll be giving my spoiler-free thoughts on Astro Bot. But of course, we'll also catch up on what we have been up to. If you want to find us across the internet, you can do that as First Geek 411 on social media. Check out our Discord server. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. You can watch live on Twitch Monday nights at 6:45 Mountain Time and find the videos over on our YouTube. And then you can also go check out that Redbubble store. Emma, what all have you been up to?
Several things and nothing. And I say that because, for one, we in Southern California and California in general have been in a massive heat wave. It was 107 yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely hideous. It is 5:30 now and currently 100 degrees. So I literally have been sitting either at home in front of my fan, which I have going right now, so I apologize for the background noise, or at the office where there's AC, because it is too hot to do anything, aside from sit around and be Mo in life. But anyway, yeah, so the things that I have been doing while it's been a 107 outside have been going to see Beetlejuice 2. Yay. Lots of fun. Saw it on Friday, opening day.
Nice.
Very fun. Very good. We'll talk about it later. Play D&D, because that's something you can do in AC.
Yep.
Love D&D. Recover quickly from a cold, because I am no longer a grad student who is working until 2 a.m. and functioning on Dayquil, thankfully.
It's crazy what sleep will do for you.
I know, right? So I got the beginning of a cold and then got to sleep for 10 hours every night, and the cold magically went away. And it was fabulous. And last but not least, as I was sitting in the heat wave, I was playing Subnautica, dreaming about going and existing on an alien planet where it's not 107 degrees outside.
Yep. Shocked that you're back to playing more Subnautica after just
I know!
Like,
surprised! And I have found all 3 cuttlefish eggs, which is great because there's 3, and they're these cute little squid puppies, and they're adorable, and I have all 3, and it makes me happy because there's only 3, and I found all of them, and it was great. A good time. And yeah, that's been the past couple of weeks in the heat wave.
Yes. Chunk in chat says, your hair looks great.
Thank you very much. It's purple. And that is proof of the fan right there.
There you go. Yeah, you got to make do. Like you talking about that really reminded me of like high school, like growing up here, where it was literally just here as in Dallas, where it's literally like, what can we do? Is there AC there? As like one of the most important questions of like
all of the things I've been doing recently have centered around, is there AC?
Yeah. Like we would do the like, let's go to the mall, not because we want to shop, but because there's AC.
Yeah.
And it was a place that like we could get up and be active, but have AC still. And so
yeah.
Just go be hooligans.
The friend who I went to Beetlejuice with, part of the reason I think that she asked me to go with her was because there was AC and she wanted something to do. And I was like, yes! Both movie club time and AC.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. So any excuse to go somewhere with AC or is just not extremely hot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I hobbied so much this past week. And
we love hobbies.
Yeah. So starting it off, video game front, been playing more of the 4 games that I'm playing right now, which is Zenless Zone Zero. I'm getting close to that platinum. That grind is real. And just building up my friendship with this dumb cat that just takes forever. And so been playing more Cult of the Lamb, still really enjoying that. I have beat the game, and I think I'm technically on to like post game, and trying for that platinum as well. We'll see how we do. I think because of like the DLC, some stuff reset that like wasn't supposed to reset when I beat the game. Like reset as in I moved into the DLC like era. And so like that's making it harder to go get some of the trophies, just in terms of it's just more time. And so I don't know. Here we are. So I might stop that. And then been playing Star Wars Outlaws still as well, making progress on that, chipping away. I have gathered 2 members of my crew.
Nice.
And I'm working on my 3rd member. And then we'll talk about this more once we get to the actual news, but been playing a lot of Astro Bot over on Cameron plus Deanna. And so we've had 2 streams of that over there. We'll talk about it once we get into the news itself. And I guess we should have had for like spoiler-free review of Beetlejuice as well. Like
we can make it spoiler-free.
We can do that as part of your news topic.
Yeah.
And so we had not discussed that ahead of time, but like
we could make it spoiler-free because it is opening weekend. So
and then other hobbies that I have hobbied. I have finished reading the Marvel Multiverse Cataclysm of Kang campaign. And so I've started to work on gathering my group to have like a session 0 to hopefully start playing that. Hopefully going to be doing that start like beginning of next month. I'm very excited. And so it should be a very fun campaign. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm also like, you get this with Cantrip, but like I have not had an in-person TTRPG since we did like ours for this channel.
Yeah.
Like I was in a group, but I stepped away at that time. Yeah. And I have not had an in-person TTRPG since then. And
wild.
So I am so, or like in terms of like not a one shot kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a long running thing.
Yeah. And so I'm very excited for that. The system itself is like, I had my lunch game of Marvel Multiverse, but like we played for like a month and a half once a week, but because it was at lunch during work, I would equate it to a one shot. Yeah. Like just in terms of like what we actually got done.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I'm really excited to like actually be able to run through this, give people the options of creating characters and doing stuff like that, or playing existing characters if they want.
Yeah.
It's a super fun system that I'm really excited about. And yeah. And then other hobbies that I have hobbied is, I finally got some stuff that I had been waiting for my next batch of mead.
Woo!
And so whoop whoop, we got pictures in the Discord, and so have the most mead going right now that I've ever had, which sounds impressive. I just have one more than I've done before. And so, but hey, it's more than what we've done. And so we have a Rui Boy, which is a type of tea. And so instead of using water and honey, it's tea and honey. And so we're experimenting. Not sure how that's going to turn out, but like we thought it would be a fun experiment. And then I've had some mead going and I flavored it. So one of them is flavored with raspberries and blackberries. And the other is flavored with peaches. And so we're going to see how those turn out as well.
Hopefully they turn out actually good, because that sounds like a great combination.
Yeah. I am really interested in how they're going to go. This is my first time flavoring mead. I am very nervous just because like the idea of Chunk says looks delicious. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm very nervous because the mead was good, like in the sense of like it didn't go wrong. And now we just like introduced more stuff to it that like could go wrong. And so like I kind of have this like, it's my first time doing flavored mead. Well, they're not like the most outrageous flavors by any means. There's also the like, what if it's awful of like that side of it too. And like, it was good. Could we have introduced something bad? Like it gets worst case, it gets moldy. We have to throw out the batch, like stuff like that. And so definitely a little nervous there just in terms of like what could happen. But hey, we'll find out in about 2 to 3 weeks is when we should be done and ready to bottle the 2 flavored ones. And so looking forward to that. The final hobby that I have hobbied has been watching stuff. And we have been watching Rings of Power Season 2. And so I think we are 4 episodes into that so far, with the 5th episode coming out this week of recording. My general review of it so far is it's okay.
Sounds about right. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not
That's
bad.
fine.
It's not amazing. It's fine.
It's fine.
So, and then the last thing, last night we watched The Boy and the Heron, the latest Studio Ghibli film that's finally on HBO Max.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, I saw that. It's added to my list so I could watch it.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. It is not my favorite Ghibli film by any means.
Yeah.
And beautiful as always. But like
I would be shocked if it wasn't.
Yeah. We were talking of like it'd be really crazy if like Disney had stuck with the hand drawn and like what we would have gotten. If they had kind of done the same thing that Ghibli has done, where I'm sure there's some
I wish
CG.
they'd return to hand drawn.
Yeah. Pun most definitely not intended, because I made my stance on puns well known. I wish they would have done that for Wish, like the movie Wish.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a really cool touch, as like this is the movie celebrating 100 years of Disney.
Yeah.
Like let's go back to hand-drawn animation for this movie.
Yep.
I'm sure the problem is now no one is trained on that anymore. And so it's not like you can just flip a switch and be like, hey,
because
animators.
Studio Ghibli has them all.
Right. Like, but like, I think that would have been a really cool touch and could have given that movie something to like really stand out from like the current suite of films.
I know several animators that will prefer doing the hand-drawn over the 3D. I mean, all of their stuff is going to be drawn digitally in like Photoshop or whatever, but it's still like hand-drawn versus doing 3D models. And a couple of them are in D&D with me, and their stuff is amazing, and I miss it in older Disney stuff because it's just so pretty.
Right. And like obviously you can use computers to help.
Yeah.
Like, with backgrounds, with motions of like, I would assume that if you were going to do a hand-drawn movie like that, you would not draw every frame. to the like in the sense that
Probably
they
not.
did in the past. Like you would create a lot of frames and have the computer extrapolate like in between them.
Yep.
But
Have a
I
point A and a point D
yeah,
and have it extrapolate B and C or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. Uh, I think that would be really cool. Again, I think it would have been fun for the movie Wish just to have that throwback, make it look like Snow White, like that art
Yeah.
style.
Or even something like one of my favorites, just in terms of general art style, as well as movie, is Lilo and Stitch because
Mm-hmm.
the background is all watercolor, but then all of the characters are hand drawn. So it's two different styles of
Mm-hmm.
like d- physical art. And it's really pretty because there's so much more you can do with that kind of art style because there's so many more options.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Like I think it'd be so cool to see. Uh, it's back to the boy and the heron. Like
Yeah.
it's crazy
Anyway.
yeah, it's crazy how cool it looks. And they did such a great job with it. The story just like it isn't my favorite.
Yeah.
Like the voice cast is bananas. But like it's such a good cast, but like it was fun. I enjoyed it. It probably doesn't break my top 5 Ghiblis.
Yeah.
But here we are. So if you're watching chat, YouTube, Twitch, all of y'all, please let us know what you have been up to. Talk about some stuff over in the post show. We don't necessarily have a main topic of the week, although we are apparently doing double spoiler-free reviews / thoughts.
Woo!
I don't want to say review for Astro Bot because I haven't finished it, but like, so double spoiler-free thoughts on Beetlejuice, and then on Astro Bot. Emma, why don't you kick us off?
First things first, rest in peace, James Earl Jones. We will miss you. Played Mufasa, and I almost said Star Wars,
He played
which
Star
is
Wars.
correct.
Like he was
Um,
the Star Wars.
he was the Star Wars.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader, and it's a couple of other well-loved roles. Yeah, just died today. But yeah, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice 2 came out. What are words? What am I trying to say? Just had its opening weekend. I went on Friday with a friend from D&D, and we had a great time. Lots of giggles and laughs. It had a $100 million budget, and its opening weekend worldwide pulled in 145 million. So it's already jumped past its budget, which is great. Not very surprised because it is a fan favorite, like franchise essentially at this point. Between now 2 movies and the musical, and it's a well loved IP. So I'm not super surprised that it's doing so well because they know that it's so well loved that they had to do a good job in it. And they did, in my opinion. Yeah, it's without saying / going into too many spoilers. I think I've mentioned this before, or if I didn't, it was with different groups. But because I work for Warner Brothers, we were getting a lot of the promotional materials long before they were released to the public, or before embargoes were up. So a lot of like the cutouts with the couches and things, I was seeing in my office when I was going into the office every day. And it was a lot of fun to like see those things before everyone else. I was like, yeah, I've known about that for months, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, a lot of, but not all of the original cast returns for reasons. But we've gotten Winona Ryder, we got Michael Keaton, we have a new addition, which is whatever her name is, who's also Wednesday. I should know my actors, but I don't. But it's all great Yeah,
I'm
I
Googling.
can't.
Sorry. I also have blanked on it.
Yeah, I know who she is.
Jenna Ortega. So,
Yeah, Jenna Ortega.
and thank you.
Which,
Mike got there in chat with us as well. So,
yep, makes total sense that, she was hired for this job. Um, yeah, Chunk in chat says it was great, not as good as the original, but definitely a worthy sequel. 100% agree. I feel like nothing will ever surpass the original because it's the original Beetlejuice. Um, but still, as a sequel, like it definitely does the work to make fans happy and proud. Um, my mom isn't the biggest Tim Burton fan, but I was on the phone with her yesterday and I was like, Mom, you should watch at least the first one because Beetlejuice truly is my favorite Tim Burton movie because it's true. Like, I'm not a big Nightmare Before Christmas person. I'm not a big Edward Scissorhands person. Coraline, I'm fine with. Other stuff, but like Beetlejuice, I love it. It's great. It's fantastic, fun, spooky. I love fun, spooky that isn't too childish, and Beetlejuice is just what I like. So, yeah,
nice. I feel like the thing with these movies is always just can they live up? Like,
yes,
I feel like it's the like it doesn't need to be a 10. It just needs to be a good thing for that IP. Like,
and this
Beetlejuice
is a yes.
yeah, and I think that's the biggest praise you can give it. Is
Yes,
like, there's been
it
so
did
much
live
of that
up.
struggle. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I so appreciate is that with the first movie, they had a very small budget, so they really leaned into the cheesy effects
mhm.
for it. And with this one, they had a bigger budget because it's a returning IP, so there was proof of concept and an audience. But they still really leaned into that sort of cheesy side when it
Mhm.
came to the effects. It was all like practicals and stop motion with the sandworm, and like they really still kept the same visual look, even though they logistically could have not done that. It was all like you can tell watching it that it's all practicals. Um,
Mhm.
and I love that because I've said it once and I will say it a million times. If you can, do practicals. It looks 10 times better. It feels 10 times better because it is 10 times better. Alien, even the new one that just came out, did practicals because not only can we feel it and see it, but so can the actors because they legitimately can see
Mhm.
it and feel it. So we can feel it because the actors are actually interacting with, a guy who has a bunch of hot dogs stuck in his mouth or whatever. Like you've got Beetlejuice doing whatever crazy thing that Beetlejuice does. Um, Actually there on set, and it feels real, and that pulls the audience in more. I will forever gush about how much I love practicals
Mhm.
because
I completely agree.
it absolutely changes the way that the movie comes off.
Uh, I also want to shout out box office wise. Beetlejuice 2 is the second largest September opening of all time. And so
What's the first one?
I'm trying to find
I,
it.
I almost want to say like Harry Potter or something. I feel
Let's
like they
see.
would have released a Harry Potter in um except that you could also post or release in like a December as like a Christmas
Oh,
movie almost.
okay. Well, yeah, this is another not for me movie, but also not surprising. 2017's Stephen King's adaptation of It.
Oh yeah, That was a September movie?
I guess so.
Oh, that would make sense. I would have almost said October, but
And it could have been late. Like it's definitely one of those films that like no, it's September 8th. So basically the same weekend. And so but yeah, I mean second largest opening for the month, like that's awesome. And then yeah, going back to what you're saying, I love it when we get to see movies do practical. I feel like it is a sign of investment from the studio that like, I mean, of course I don't know how numbers work, but like obviously you can do a whole lot with CG, but like I feel like if you're intentional with what you're doing enough to do practical, it shows that you like really believe in what you're doing, because
it has the same impact that a good costume department has.
Exactly.
As example, the new Snow White movie, the costuming department did not get enough money, and you can tell.
Yeah.
Even though the movie hasn't come out yet.
Yeah.
Doing practicals gives the same impact as a good costuming department.
Talked about this a little bit before.
I know too much about film.
Yeah, hey,
which is
that's
probably preferably
like having you here, is that
because you know it is the industry I've settled on for my career, so
you get that side of things, and we are happy that you have all that feedback.
Yes.
To no one's surprise, I am shocked by this. Like, as someone who's like never been a Beetlejuice fan, like this is one of those IPs that like I am always shocked that people like this.
Oh, I love it.
Like, and I'm so happy that people are happy. I've talked about this maybe 2 weeks ago or something. Like, I need to go watch these because it sounds right up my alley. I think I like.
It's the same kind of spooky as Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, which like is exactly what I like.
If you like Haunted Mansion, you'll probably like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
It's not like it's fun spooky. It's not scary spooky.
Yeah. And yeah, this is just something that I don't know, for whatever reason I just never got around to seeing, even going and seeing some of Tim Burton's other works. Like this is one that I just like never got to.
Yeah.
And so yeah, definitely happy people are happy and that it's doing so well. As a fun reference point, when the original Beetlejuice opened in 1988, it had a $15 million budget and its box office was $75 million. So,
and again, you said a $15 million budget.
Mm-hmm.
So it got an $85 million budget upgrade for the second one to $100 million,
mm-hmm.
which is great, and it's already like clearly in both cases doing really well and has surpassed its budget by a lot in both cases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good for them. Super happy. I'll probably end up watching this once it hits streaming. I might like save and just do like a marathon and watch both of them. So
yeah, and that I was talking to my mom the other day. I think I already said this or whatever, but I told her if you like the Haunted Mansion, which I know she does, you'll like Beetlejuice, because that really is the best comparison for someone who doesn't know what to expect, but has done the Haunted Mansion just before. Because it's just like, if you like that, you're gonna like Beetlejuice. It's the same kind of fun spooky. Just one has a few more adult jokes. So be mildly prepared for that.
Yeah. I 100% just Googled where can I watch or like where can I stream Beetlejuice. Surprise, it's HBO. Like,
I could have told you that.
Duh. I saw that as the answer. I'm like, oh, obviously.
That makes sense.
Yeah, should have thought of that one.
Is it Warner Brothers? Yes. It's gonna be on HBO.
Yeah. With that, let us know if you've seen Beetlejuice. Let us know what you thought. Chunk did say, I loved it, saw it on Wednesday, and thought it was great. Not as good as the original, but definitely a worthy sequel, which I think you referenced earlier.
Yep.
Like, but again, I love the idea there of worthy sequel. That's like, I feel
Yeah.
like what you want with
Yeah.
so many of these coming back IPs. Like,
Yep.
it has been 30 plus years. Like, worthy sequel is great. Like,
Yeah. Will any sequel ever be better than the first one when it's not coming from source material? Probably not. I say that clarification because I just thought of Lord of the Rings. But it really is a matter of, is it worthy or not, as Chunk put it. Like, I also saw a stat the other day. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, very ADHD thing. A trilogy movie, the franchise, with 17 Oscars between the three, in comparison to Marvel, that has 25 and only 25 movies and only 3 Oscars, which is insane. But also, it's like, yeah, that would make sense. And I had never fully processed that because it's 25 movies and 3 Oscars versus 3 movies and 17 Oscars. And it's like, yeah, I can see how Lord of the Rings got there, and that's great. Good for them.
and aren't
So, yeah,
almost all of those Oscars for Return of the King?
I think so. Oh, hi.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings: Return of the King won a record tying 11 awards.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Are you gonna steal all my stuff, dog?
Insane as well. Yeah. But I kind of go into your example there. I am very curious if/when we get a remake of Lord of the Rings as films, like what that will look like. Again, kind of tying back to that idea of worthy successor when like The Hobbit had so many problems, let alone being 3 films. Like, I'm very curious to how we're going to.
You don't need one movie dedicated to one battle. I know that Tolkien spent an entire 4 pages on the battle. That doesn't mean you have an excuse to spend an entire 90 minutes on one battle. That's not how this works.
Yeah, if they were going to be book accurate, it would be a whole movie about one tree.
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
not even like a special tree. It is just
it's just a tree. You just set the camera up, press play, and you just watch a tree for 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's just summary.
That's how this goes.
Of all of the details of that one tree.
Yeah, you just very slowly pan and zoom in onto the tree.
Yep. But let's jump over to our next topics. This is a little bit of like, please be excited for future news. But tomorrow there is tomorrow as of recording on September 10th, there is a PlayStation technical showcase. We obviously don't know what's going to be discussed there, but like, that's exciting. Presumably it's going to be PlayStation 5 Pro, but like, we don't know any of that because it hasn't happened yet. And so very excited to see what this is going to be. I don't know about you, but I would be very hard pressed to buy a new PlayStation. Like, I've never bought the Pros or done any of that. And so, but I'm definitely excited that it can be happening, and hopefully we'll get some new games or something shown off with that tech. But do you have any, if this is PlayStation 5 Pro, like, do you have any interest in upgrading?
I mean, I'm very content with my current PS5 right now. I'm just trucking along with it, having a good old time in Subnautica.
Yeah.
Because,
that's how I feel as well.
Like, if that ever crumps out or whatever, I may upgrade, assuming the PS5 Pro does end up being a thing. But, like, part of the reason I got the PS5 to begin with was because my PS4 was, like, I bought it off a friend. So I wanted to upgrade to a new console that was, like, brand new. And plus, all of the games I wanted to play would be coming out on that, like Horizon Forbidden West and everything going forwards. Um, but like, I don't imagine I would be upgrading to a new one anytime soon unless they start, don't want to jinx it, knock on wood, pulling that thing again of, oh, well, we're not going to release new games on the regular anymore. So unless I'm given that kind of reason where, well, okay, I can't play future games that I want to play down the road on my regular thing anymore, then I'm gonna upgrade because there's just games that I want to play.
Yeah, I can't see them
taking
that approach.
I want to, but I can't.
Yeah. I can't see them taking that approach just because I feel like that'd be so much like negative press to be like, this game doesn't work. It'd be like such a smaller market. But I'd be curious on like feature set. Like, is there something that PS5 Pro could do that normal PS4 couldn't do as well? Like, that would be interesting. Again, I don't know what that would have to be that cool. But like, it kind of reminds me of the when we jumped from like PS3 to PS4. I think Shadow of Mordor had the Nemesis system if you got the PS4 version of it, but the PS3 version did not have that function because the PS3 couldn't handle it. And so it would have to be something like dramatic, but like I can't imagine what that would look like within the same console generation to make it work. In chat, Nerdpaster Nate comes in and says, but would play on his new Nintendo 3DS. I would be hyped if PlayStation did the new PlayStation 5. And that's what they called it. Like, just because I hate Nintendo's putting the word new in front of things.
Yeah.
And I would love it if every company started doing that just because like the sheer chaos.
Just to make fun of it.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments working at GameStop is when we put up an ad talking about trading in towards a new Nintendo Switch. And because of the naming convention that Nintendo's done, people thought we leaked the Nintendo Switch 2. But no, it was new as in like new condition, not pre-owned. It was really funny.
You mean the normal definition of the word new.
Exactly. The one that's used all throughout the industry.
The only reason you would use the word new.
Exactly.
Spelled without a K, of course.
Yes.
If you spell it with a K, that's a completely different meaning.
In chat, Sneaky says, I wouldn't buy a PS5 Pro either. My PS5 is too new to need another one already. Chunk as well says, I'm not buying a PS5 Pro. Something interesting, and I just did some Googling to verify my recollection. The PS4 Pro released just over 3 years after the PS4, whereas we are already looking at 4 years after PS5. So we're actually like a year later in the console generation to be getting the Pro. Granted, pandemic happened, and that really threw a wrench in like everything. A lot of people getting those initial consoles just because so many more people were playing video games at that time because we weren't able to do as much stuff where you were up and about. And so it's kind of interesting. The
demand was much higher because everyone was stuck at home.
Exactly. And so, I mean, like there was stuff where I know of people into like late 2022 that had not seen a PS5 in a store.
Yeah.
Like just because they would sell out so quickly that like if you were not there as soon as it hit, you were not going to see one. And so Nerdbuster right. Nate says, yeah, but COVID doesn't count. So it's only been released for like 3 weeks. So, valid.
That's fair.
So please be excited for PlayStation Technical Showcase tomorrow.
So excited. Can't wait.
Again, I hope we see something cool. I like in terms of a game, like show us a new game running using this tech. I've heard people talk about Ghost of Tsushima 2 potentially like as a hope, like not even as like a rumor, but like people have said that. And so I'm sure we'll see Spider-Man just because that's like they use Spider-Man 2 as their showcase for everything. And so
Yep.
Chunk says Astro Bot 2. They just reveal that. That would be great. But great stuff, exciting stuff. Speaking of Astro Bot, let's get into our next spoiler-free thoughts. And this is going to be my first, our initial spoiler-free thoughts on Astro Bot. Emma has not had a chance to play the game yet, but she has played Astro's Playroom, so she does have some basis there. And
I do have a general concept of the IP.
Yeah, you understand the vibes.
I understand the vibes.
Yeah.
Does that mean I'm going to purchase this game anytime soon? Probably not. It doesn't really cater to me, truth be told. Apologies to people who are Astrobot stans.
Yeah. So, did you enjoy Astro's Playroom?
It was fine. I enjoyed it while I only had 2 other PS5 games.
Yep.
But again, like, it's not something that I am going to actively spend money on, anytime soon to play. So, like, yeah, it's on my list, but not high priority.
Yeah. So, I'm going to say this and I mean this in the best possible way. This is exactly more of Astro's Playroom.
Okay.
So, it's if you liked Astro's Playroom, which I loved it, this is exactly what I wanted this game to be.
There you go.
It is more of that. Like, Astro's Playroom was like a 2 to 3 hour experience, and this is I've seen 12 to 15 hour experience. And so it is really just Astro's Playroom, 5 times larger. And there's more levels. There's more dynamics in the levels. Again, we're keeping this spoiler free, but generally speaking, there's 5 different galaxies. Each galaxy has 5 to 6 levels. That each galaxy kind of culminates with a boss fight. And then after the boss fight, there is a level that is inspired by a PlayStation game. And where you are, and I missed this for the first one because it's not a game that I'm super familiar with, and I'm not going to say what it is, but you literally play a level inspired by the game. And they are super fun. And so I finished the first 3 galaxies, so I've done 3 of these. Broadly speaking, within every level, I think there's 6 to 8 Astrobots that you have to rescue. They're about half of them, or maybe a little less than half, in a normal level are PlayStation character themed, or a game that has appeared on PlayStation themed. So
yeah,
as an example, Ratchet and Rivet are there from Ratchet and Clank. And then there's also stuff like the Metal Gear Solid characters have characters as well. And so there's stuff from both first party and third party games. It's super cool getting to see these characters. We have Astro Kratos up on the stream right now as a reference. And I was talking to a friend at work today about this, and I mentioned this on my stream. I can't believe there are not toys for these.
Dude.
Give me a toy where Kratos' beard is magnetic and you can magnet it on to the Astrobot. That would be so cool. And there's a super fun you can do custom paint jobs and custom skins and all, not custom skins, and I guess not custom paint jobs. You can choose the paint job that's the controller in the game, because similar to Astro's Playroom, the game itself is PlayStation themed. So Astro pilots a spaceship that is a PlayStation 5. And then his little rover ship is a DualSense controller. And so you can like change the color scheme of that and stuff like that. And there's one of them that like if PlayStation does not make it a real controller, like I don't know what they're doing. Like I loved the Astro controller, but this is like tiers above that one as well. And so I have loved all of that so far. The platforming's really cool. The core levels in the worlds are not difficult. Like definitely have died several times on most of them, but like when it comes to the level itself, they're not that difficult. But there are like more difficult levels in many of the worlds. And so they seem to be keyed off of the PlayStation symbols. So there's like the triangle levels, the circle levels, things like that. And so those are more like difficult platforming challenges, but they're much shorter levels to compensate. And so that's really cool. One of the feedback that I had about Astro's Playroom is like, because it's so short, there's like not necessarily a lot that you can go and do after the fact. And so it's really cool that this will give possible like more stuff for speedrunners and for stuff like that of like, there's way more levels. How quick can you do things? There's more like, got to collect all the Astros, or you just have to get through the levels. Like, a lot more of that kind of stuff than was available in Astro's Playroom. And then I know one of the big questions that I've seen from people is like, do you have to like PlayStation to like this game? And like, I will say that it definitely helps if you love PlayStation. Like, there's definitely a big thrill. Again, for me, it was the Persona characters, and especially with one of them not being a character that I had expected, and like seeing a character that I really liked get to be represented made me really excited. So like, there is that side of it, but there's also characters that like I've literally been like, hey chat, who is this character? I have no clue who this is. Or like stuff like Resident Evil, where like those are not my games, but like I'm happy that they are here for the people that like that. So. In chat, Nerd Pastor Nate says Astro Toys would destroy Funko. Like I feel like that could be the like Netflix pitching to Blockbuster thing. Of like, if the Astro toys were pitched and Funko passed them, like that's like the sign of like, oh man. But yeah, I really hope we get to see that. And then I know they've already talked post-game content or post-release content as well. I believe we're getting time trials and stuff like that. They like have been supporting Astro's Playroom, like leading up to this release, like adding bots that you could rescue and stuff like that. I know Chunk was a part of it, but they did like a release party in Astro's Playroom for Astro Bot. So like that's super cool. So like I'm really hopeful that we'll see them add more galaxies, add something to these as more things release. And and then kind of for some additional background content, Astro is also currently the highest rated like full game release of 2024. And so that's very exciting. It's so funny that like it's like this 3D platformer that is coming in and beating all of these like gigantic games, but like Team Asobi put so much love and work into this game, and I am so happy that like in the world where like Elden Ring is like the highest rated piece of content for the year, like Astro is number 2, and they are so different, and I'm so excited.
So different.
Like, yeah. So like according to Metacritic right now, it's Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, Astro Bot, and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like those are the top 3 of the year right now, and I just love that none of those are the same. And I'm so excited that that is kind of where we are at for this year. So, let's see. Any questions on your end for Astrobot as we wrap up this segment?
Let me know when it goes on sale.
Yeah.
And I'll get it.
Yeah,
but not until it goes on sale.
Yeah, I would expect that it'll be on sale for Black Friday. Just based
There you
on
go.
when it released. Like, I would not be surprised if it gets, even if it's just like a $10. But yeah, I would not be surprised to see it get some sort of price drop for the holiday going into Black Friday. If nothing else, I could see them doing it as part of like a winter sale, like post game awards, having it go on sale, because presumably it's going to be nominated for Game of the Year just based on how well received it's been. Like, that's of course a bit of a big assumption, but like that's something that like I could definitely see them like capitalizing off of that with like, hey, we just won X award. Buy the game now, $10 off. And so but for people that have played Astro, hit us up with your thoughts. We'll discuss more over in post show and in the comment sections, all of those kinds of things. But that is where we're going to wrap our main topics for this week. I do want to say, as our piece of housekeeping, I almost said a piece of bookkeeping, but housekeeping, book club is going to be on September 23rd, which is, I believe, 2 Mondays from now. And so with changes to schedules, we're moving book club from being on a Thursday to being just one of our normal Monday shows. And so be on the lookout for that. On the 23rd, we are reading Slaying the Dragon, A Secret History of Dungeons & Dragons by Ben Riggs. Have you had a chance to read yet?
No, mine has not arrived in the mail yet. But I'm not too worried about this one, getting through this one.
Yeah, I did the audiobook, of course, and it's a very fast, and Ben does a great job, like, telling the story. And so I would imagine that like someone that, as we were starting podcast, Emma was like, I just want to play D&D. As someone on that side of the hobby spectrum, I would imagine that you will tear up this book. And so so
I'm gonna literally, I was talking to a friend earlier today, and I basically said, because I play or watch D&D every Tuesday night, I was just like, I hate Mondays because my brain knows that in 24 hours I get to go to D&D, and so Mondays are just too long. So this is why I hate Mondays now, is because I get to play D&D in 24 hours, and I know that, and so it just takes too long.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. It should be a great book club. I am very excited. It's also, I mentioned this at the end of Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell book club last week, 2 weeks ago, I guess, because we didn't do last week because of Labor Day. But I mentioned at the end of that, like, it feels very like intentional, even though it was an accident, that we are doing this as D&D is going through a edition change. Like, I feel like that's such an interesting time for us to be reading that, because it definitely flavors like a lot of this history compared to the history that this is talking about. And so I'm very excited for this book club. It should be a great conversation, and we'll see everybody on September 23rd for that.
It's going to be a great time.
Yeah. With all that, it's been a great week. Let's head into that post-show chat. Before we do, of course, you can find us as OneGeek411 on social media. Join that Discord. Shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out that Redbubble store, and then you can watch live on Twitch and find the videos live on YouTube as well. Please like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. And then, of course, you can also find the VODs for all of our previous episodes, such as our 2-parter on Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell for our last book club, and our book club tier list ranking. And so, but then you can also find us on our personal social media. Mine is Humar Whittill.
Mine is I am not prepared, with an I in the prepared.
And it's been a great week.
Go to the movies.
Play a game.